Australia as a Dominion gave 15 squadrons to England for the duration of the Second World War. And as a consequence, Australia paid our wages, gave us our uniforms, but we were in control by the RAF. And as soon as I turned 18, I was called up. But when you join the Air Force, the first thing you sign, is your will. And they give you dead meat tickets that you hang around your neck. One is fireproof and the other one is bulletproof sort of business, so that at least one of the two or both of them are going to be saved to identify you or your body. So you learn a lot about how to live and to die. This is the services. I think most Kitty Hawk pilots love their aircraft. I went to a place called Abbotswaya where we could have been put onto Kitty Hawks or onto Spitfires. In my case, I was put onto Kitty Hawks, and that's the first time I ever flew something in a fighting class. The first time you sit in a Kitty Hawk, you've got 10'6" of motor in front of you, sticking up in the air. Then there comes the thing of learning. You've got to learn to fire your guns. You've got to learn to feel what your aircraft is doing. And the functional thing is that we used to fire at our shadows. We'd fly, say, at 50 or 100 feet in the air, and the aircraft that we were making a shadow on the sand desert, and we just fired it because you have to allow yourself deflection. You could not slow roll a Kitty Hawk because it didn't have a petrol pump that got the petrol in through the carburettor. It was a gravity arrangement, and so that even when you're going down to bomb and use it as a war aircraft, you've got to also think of your own safety. So far as dive bombing was concerned, it was forced on the fighter aircraft because of the fact that the bombing wasn't as accurate. They got bigger and bigger bombs and that, but it isn't the size of the bomb that does the damage, it's the accurate one. So that's what you're trying to do, is to, before you go into the dive, to come in so that you're at about 8,000 feet, that you give yourself about 7,000 feet to get in and out in, okay? And so therefore you line your aircraft. And the idea is you also have learnt with all your training to pull the actual point of your aircraft just a degree or two as you let your bomb go. Now, it's only going to travel a matter of yards over the ground till it hits the target. So you're virtually, you're lining yourself up as a human explosion. I had a bad experience there. The cockpit cover blew off, and all of a sudden the aircraft felt a big air brake had come on, and when it had hit the stanchion that holds your rudder in place. Anyway, I got over it, and that was because I got too steep. See, you've got to learn. It looks as though you're going down vertically, but it ain't so. You're going down at about 60 or 70 degrees. And that's still a very steep thing, and you dive from about 8,000 feet down to about 1,500 feet, because if you carried 500-pound bombs, you were supposed to have them and out with a 500 feet margin for safety. But if you carried a 1,000-pound bomb, you had to pull out at 1,500 feet, so you had to learn all these things. Then again, we were posted. This time we knew we were going up to Italy. The Italian campaign was probably among the longest ones. It was also with a nation who has always been very close to Britain and very close to Australians. I mean, I could not tell you how many Italians I went to school with, and let alone played games with. So that really and truly we were there to make a success of it. A squadron actually had to keep 12 aircraft ready for operations. To do that, they had about 24 to 25 or 30 aircraft because they have to be serviced, they have to be kept in nick. Your air crew which had to be treated too so that they got themselves rest. So one way or the other, men respected each other. I did 110 sorties. Now 110 sorties took me around about 7 or 8 months to do. So every time you do a sortie, you are actually attacking the enemy and you're attacking the actual anti-aircraft guns all the time that are out to get you. Now, you can't stay in the dive too long because the fellow in the ack that's firing at you, he can line you up and knock you off. So you actually want to come out in a situation where you aren't following your nose. You want to side slip a little bit because a 40 metre or a 88 millimetre cannon, it takes about 10 seconds from the shell that's left its nozzle to hit you at 10,000 feet. So you need to be in quicker than that. So it's around about 8 seconds we've got to be in the dive bomb. And that's the rule of thumb. So dive bombing became, it got to the stage when our own forces used to give us 200-yard bomb lines, where as long as we were in excess of 200 yards from their trenches, that we could drop a bomb on with their approval. They had faith in us. The deaths in action were around about 30%. Now that's pretty high. My flying instructor, Stan Newell, came back to the squadron for a second tour. And when he was there, he did the thing that was forbidden to all of us, and that is he did examinations of his targets at low level. A bloke with a rifle can shoot you down, not an 88 millimetre. So if you have enough rifle fire and you've got to fly through it, ta-da, goodbye. You don't get away with it too often. So Stan was shot down. And one of the other chaps in our tent, he and I put Stan's stuff together to send home to the family. In that we were rocked a bit. We found he had already bought an engagement ring. So that happened, and in my time on the squadron, we lost about 18, I suppose. When you're faced with these things, it doesn't matter whether you see them split open when they hit the deck. In fact, better for you not to, because you're in a better position to do the job that you're expected of you. Italy was an eye-opener to me.